Hi class, this is Meghan Frye and I'm here to discuss involuntary psychiatric holds. So the first step in understanding an involuntary psychiatric hold for me was to define it. So as the name suggests, an involuntary psychiatric hold is when you are held involuntarily for a psychiatric reason. The behaviors that indicate you might be placed under a hold is if a person shows that they are a danger to themselves, a danger to others, or gravely disabled due to a psychiatric illness. What that means is they are unable to provide themselves with food, water, necessary housing, clean clothing, and perhaps the medications that they need on a daily basis due to a mental illness or psychiatric issue. This person is then taken into custody without their consent for 72 hours. So who's able to place a person in an involuntary hold? Well, that does differ from state to state. So I focused on California. The people in California who are able to do this are police officers, attending staff, or people in charge of the county mental health facilities, professionals who work with the mental health crisis team, anyone else that's designated by the county for the purpose of placing someone into an involuntary psychiatric hold, and medical doctors. So what's the protocol for placing a person into an involuntary psychiatric hold? Once a person has been identified as being either a danger to themselves, others, or unable to care for themselves, then the state has provided us with a script that we can read to relay all the legally required information to the person being placed in the hold. Below is an example of the script. It states the person's name, who they are with, the agency, and their profession. It clarifies that the person being taken into a hold is not under arrest, but taken to be examined by mental health professionals, and the facility that the person is being taken to. Now, once they arrive at that facility, they're taken to intake. And at intake, they can be read another script, again, that has been provided by the state to give them the information they need for the next 72 hours. First, again, the person's name and position at intake is given. The patient is explained that they are brought in to an involuntary hold because they are either a harm for themselves, harm to someone else, or unable to get their own food, clothing, and housing. The reasons and the evidence behind this is provided. They are told that they could be transferred to another facility and are allowed to request another facility or a specific physician to do their observation and treatment, although it's not guaranteed that either of those things can be provided for them. It's also explained to the person taken into the involuntary hold that they will be given a number of treatments, possibly medications. They could be released before 72 hours. They could be kept for 72 hours or possibly longer. If they are kept for longer, they do have a right to a lawyer and a hearing before a judge. If they cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for them. They are also given the contact information to patients' rights, and it's documented when their 72-hour hold began, the day and the time. So when they're put under an involuntary psychiatric hold, they do have rights. There are two sets of rights, one set that cannot be denied, and on the next slide we'll discuss rights that can be denied if there is evidence to show that it's for the benefit of everyone involved. First, the rights that cannot be denied are the rights to humane care. They have a right to be free of abuse and neglect, and this includes the abusive use of psychiatric medications. They cannot be overprescribed medications to keep them docile. They have a right to social interaction, to education, to religious freedom, and to be treated without discrimination. Now, this is where certain rights can be denied if you show due cause. To show due cause, you need to show that giving a patient certain rights will allow either immediate harm to themselves or others, infringement on another's rights, severe damage to the facility they're staying in, and that withholding these rights is the only way to ensure that the above situations do not occur. The rights that can be denied based on due cause are the rights to money, mail, writing materials, including stamps and envelopes, telephone, personal possessions, storage space, clothing, and visitors. Now, to clarify, obviously the patients will have clothing. This is in regards to their personal clothing that they may have been wearing when they were taken in for their involuntary psychiatric stay. So what happens after intake when you're in the 72-hour hold? So after you're given your rights, they'll be presented to you either verbally or in writing and in the language of your choice. You're asked a myriad of questions by professionals, and then you're observed. Your behaviors are documented, and the team discusses what they see and what they know. A history is taken from you. As much medical information and previous mental health history and psychiatric information is gathered as possible, although that's very hard to do in 72 hours. Some people are prescribed medication. Again, as I mentioned, you can be held for an additional 14 days. Hopefully you won't. Hopefully they can get you stable and released after 72 hours. When you are released, you'll be discharged with a treatment plan that has been built by both you and the staff at the mental health facility. There will be follow-up appointments made for connecting you to services in your own community once you leave the facility. I hope that this PowerPoint was able to clarify for you what happens during an involuntary mental health or psychiatric hold. It's also referred to as a 5150. I also want to congratulate all of us to making it to the end of the class. For me and a few other people, this is the last class for us before our graduation, and we're very excited. If any of you are just starting, I want you to know that it goes by so fast, and you can absolutely do it. So congratulations to all of us that have made it this far, and have a good holiday.